Thank you for the introduction and thank you for inviting us here to give comments from a Western side of view of points. And indeed, if you look at what we have done in the past in a Western European context, one important lesson we have learned, which I think could apply to the situation here as well. First of all, let's make a thought. We're talking here about free economic zones. Any idea how many free economic zones the world counts? Over 4,300 economic zones. About 60 to 70% of them are not successful. So it's important for us to know what makes them successful. Well, there is one guiding rule. Build the ecosystem. It is not enough to have policy regulations. Starting with the policy regulations is very important, though. The fact that President Putin and the government has created this opportunity of creating a free economic zone, especially where it can be a bridge to the Asian world, is a very important step forward. It is to be applauded. At the same time, it is something that is repeating from the past. The beginning of the 20th century, Vladivostok was already a free port for some 20 years. At that time, it was the largest cargo port in the world. So indeed, history can repeat itself, and we should do everything we can to make sure it does. So I would like to jump quickly to an important point here. What is it that makes economic zones fail or be successful? First of all, you need the conditions that the government is creating here. These are positive points. A simplified fiscal regime, a free customs area, land for development, available land for development, infrastructure aid, simplified visa, one-stop administration shop. These are the things that the government has already proclaimed they're going to do. And we're going to have 4 zones: an airport and a physical port, an industrial park, a science park, and let's not forget tourism, which might be very important too for this region. And just by stating that this region will become a free economic zone is already having results. The attractiveness in investment has already gone up 10% in just these few months of starting this initiative. But if you want to make recommendations, how can we be here amongst the winning free economic zones? Let's try to round up a few of the important recommendations that have been brought forward by the Eurasian Strategy Institute. First of all, and that goes to a comment that has been said by some speakers, make sure that the benefits are explained in detail, that companies know what they are going to receive. And make sure that the benchmark you make for success is not comparing with other free economic zones or initiatives in Russia itself, but with the best of them, which are sitting now here at the table. So make sure that you have best practice guidelines put together that have recommendations brought forward. And that means that you probably need to have a policy framework for those economic zones at a very high standard. Then, additionally, make sure you set out a site selection process. Make sure that you understand what the businesses are seeking for. The fact, Minister, that you're already talking now to businesses and looking and listening to what they really want is a very important step forward to show that you're really open for business. And then, of course, please do not forget that a free economic zone, if it wants to be successful, and there are some examples where it was not, make sure to invest in the railways, in roads, in transport, which is at this moment still a very difficult thing to do, and make sure that you link to the rest of the world. Just to give an example, when we examined the twinning cities of Vladivostok, we found some 13 different cities, from which only one, Busan, in South Korea, is actually a port. I think if you want to be on top of the world as a port, then make sure that you also have twinning relationships with those major ports in the world, because that's where mutual agreements and mutual trade is coming from. And then finally, let's have a look at one that is maybe not so successful, and which we thought all it was going to be successful, looking at Shanghai Free Economic Zone, 2013, focusing on finance. Unfortunately, that does not seem to be a success today. So it's also important that when you go for a free economic zone, you make the right choice in the industries that you want to promote. Thank you, Chairman.